If anyone was asked to name the one thing that seems to have fallen out of religious practice in this world, I think it would be the duty of gratitude, the duty of giving thanks. There is little enough prayer in the world today, but sadly, there is still less gratitude. Although we are driven to prayer by our own interests, it is love alone which leads us to acts of gratitude, to say phrases like, "Thanks be to God," "God be praised," "Praise be Jesus Christ." I think it's because people forget. They don't think. And so we are ungrateful. Ingratitude is one of the first recorded sins, and the most likely reason why the Lord had no regard for Cain's offering was because Cain made the offering with an ungrateful heart. His begrudging heart canceled the meaning of his action. One wonders if our own generation is not a particularly thankless generation. Certainly it's a highly suspicious one, and that may have something to do with it. Because in an age that questions everyone's motives, giving and receiving are bound to be suspect. Now, you're all familiar with Luke's story of Jesus and the 10 lepers, when only one man, and a Samaritan at that, comes back to thank Jesus for curing him of leprosy. And Jesus says, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks? Only one returned out of the 10. And that one recognized the gift. But believe it or not, so did the other 9. But this one, this foreigner, acknowledged the gift. Because when we acknowledge a gift, what it implies is that we are aware of the giver. And in this case, God is at the heart of the gift. Jesus, in response, says to the leper who has been cured, "Your faith has saved you." So gratitude is seen here as an expression of faith. Gratitude, once it moves the mind from the gift of the giver, is itself an act of faith. And the salvation this act of faith has gained for the man is clearly more than just a physical healing. This is why Jesus wanted the other 9 to return. Not because he was disappointed, as surely he must have been, but because Jesus had so much more to give them. Those 9 others, why didn't they return to give thanks? Well, if we search our hearts, we may come up with an answer. Sometimes it's because we're of two minds about favors that people do for us. On the one hand, we want the favor, but we don't want to be obliged. You know, it used to be that one way of saying thanks in English was very much obliged. I can't remember when I last heard this expression. I understand they use it in Brazil in Portuguese, because the Portuguese word for gratitude is obrigado. But you see, we don't want to be obliged. Not only may a favor be expected in return, but a certain demand on our persons may be implied in the giving, and we shy away from that. I'm going to tell you right now, without a question, when Jesus gives us something, he makes a demand upon our persons. And if we accept the favor, as the 9 lepers did, we just might consider it too risky to come back and say thanks. But the human heart is, in the last analysis, it's made to be grateful. There's even psychological evidence in support of that statement. Believe it or not, our blood vessels constrict when we are in states of sorrow or bitterness or anger. And those blood vessels expand when we are in states of thankfulness and joy. When we're full of gratitude, when we have joy, we have this incredible energy to want to do more than we even imagine ourselves as doing. If Jesus demands gratitude of the lepers he cured, it must be that gratitude is in their own best interest. If he demands it of us, it must be for the same reason. Not a selfish gratitude like the Pharisee who exclaimed in the temple that day, "Thank God, I am not like other people." But rather that Marian gratitude that's filled with wonder that we hear in the gospel. The mighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. Because that type of gratitude opens our spirits to God's Spirit and acknowledges that Spirit by rejoicing in what has been done in our own spirit. You know, when the 72 disciples came back from their mission that Jesus had sent them on, they were rejoicing. From their first missionary journey, Jesus, in hearing their rejoicing, rejoiced in turn. He lifted his eyes to heaven and he said, "I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned and revealed them to babes. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will." One of my favorite saints when it comes to Mary advises, and that's Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, "Speak to God in thanksgiving, and you will get graces more and more abundantly. Speak to God in thanksgiving, and you will get graces more and more abundantly." During this season of Advent, may this spirit of thanksgiving, this response of Mary, this Christ-like spirit permeate our whole lives.